How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, January 24th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Simpson for this episode of The Elite. I'm going to walk you through the Elite performances from yesterday, Saturday, January 23rd. And of course, I'm going to walk you through every matchup today on Sunday, January 24th, as a good amount of sports history will go down today. I'm going to start in the NFL. No games were played yesterday, but of course, the two conference championship games will be played today. At 3 o'clock, it'll be the NFC Championship game as the Green Bay Packers, led by their go-to quarterback Aaron Rodgers, host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by their go-to quarterback Tom Brady, six-time champion. This game will be played in Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin at 3:05 on Fox, and that's going to be a very big game because, of course, it'll be the first. It'll be the first of the teams to advance to the Super Bowl. And then at 6:40, it'll be the AFC Championship as the Kansas City Chiefs will host the Buffalo Bills at 6:40 in Arrowhead Stadium in CBS as the Chiefs' elite quarterback Patrick Mahomes looks to go for back-to-back titles on his chase to becoming one of the greatest players of all time. And of course, Josh Allen is trying to help the Bills win a championship, their first Super Bowl. It would be their first as a franchise. So it'll be a very interesting matchup to see how both these matchups go. Going into today, there are 4 teams left competing for Super Bowl 55. And coming out of today, there will only be 2 left, and the matchup will be set for a couple weeks from now. The Super Bowl will take place on February 7th in Miami, so that's going to be a very big game, and I'm going to get back to you more on that once these games are played. Jumping to the NBA, there was one matchup that was on NBA TV, and then that taking you out to Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets hosted the Miami Heat and were able to beat the Heat 128-124 after holding off the Heat comeback after outscoring them by 11 in the first quarter and just holding on to that lead. For the Miami Heat, their leading scorer would be their elite center, Bam Adebayo, who finished with 41 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 14 for 20 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, and he shot 12 for 14 from the free throw line. For the Brooklyn Nets, their starting small forward, Joe Harris, would finish with 23 points in 37 minutes, shooting 8 for 14 from the field and 7 for 12 from 3. Their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden, would finish with 12 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, as well as 6 steals in 38 minutes as he shot 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Their elite starting point guard, Kyrie Irving, would finish with 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 36 minutes, shooting 10 for 17 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And the Brooklyn Nets leading scorer would be their goated power forward, Kevin Durant, who finished with 31 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a couple of blocks in 37 minutes as he shot 11 for 19 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are currently 10-8, which is the 5th best record in the East. And with this loss, the Miami Heat are 6-9, which ties them with the Toronto, now Tampa Bay, Raptors for the 11th best or the 4th worst record in the East. Jumping out to Detroit, the Detroit Pistons hosted the Philadelphia 76ers, and the 76ers were able to get the best of the Pistons, beating them 114-110 after outscoring the Pistons by 8 in the third quarter and just running away with that second half momentum. For the Detroit Pistons, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard, Wayne Ellington. He finished with 17 points and 4 rebounds in 28 minutes as he shot 6 for 9 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. And then for the Philadelphia 76ers, their elite starting point guard, Ben Simmons, would finish with 20 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals in 34 minutes as he shot 5 for 7 from the field and 10 for 12 from the line. And the Philadelphia 76ers leading scorer would be their elite center, Joel Embiid, who finished with 33 points, 14 rebounds, and a couple of blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 20 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 12 for 17 from the free throw line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are 12-5 with the best record in the East. Other than the Nets, they're the only team in the East with double-digit wins, and they have 2 more wins than the Nets in that aspect. And they're still, right now, they're 2 games ahead of the Bucks and the Pacers. And with this loss, the Pistons are 3-13 with the worst record in the conference by 2.5 games behind the Washington Wizards. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the New Orleans Pelicans as the two most recent number one picks in their drafts faced off against one another. For the New Orleans Pelicans, their starting shooting guard Eric Bledsoe had finished with 28 points, 5 rebounds in 34 minutes as he shot 11 for 23 from the field and 3 for 5 from three. Their elite starting power forward Zion Williamson out of Duke, go Duke. He would finish with 19 points or 11 rebounds and 3 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 6 for 16 from the field. He missed his only 3-point attempt on the night, and he shot 7 for 9 from the free throw line. The New Orleans Pelicans' leading scorer would be Brandon Ingram, their elite small forward out of Duke. Of course, go Duke again. I say that every time the Pelicans are up. Brandon Ingram finished with 30 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists, as well as 7 turnovers in 37 minutes as he shot 11 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, their shooting guard off the bench, their most recent number one overall pick from the 2020 NBA draft, Anthony Edwards finished with 18 points in 20 minutes, shooting 5 for 14 from the field. The Minnesota Timberwolves leading scorer would be their starting center, Nazrion Reed, out of LSU, as he finished with 20 points in 27 minutes, shooting 5 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 4-11, which is the worst record in the Western Conference by a game. And the team that's currently ahead of them in the 14th spot, or the second worst record in the West, are the New Orleans Pelicans with a 5-10 record. So that's where these two teams currently sit at the very bottom of their conferences. Jumping out to Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz hosted the Golden State Warriors and were able to beat the Warriors 127-108. After outscoring the Golden Warriors, pretty much just demolishing them by 30 points in the first half and just riding that momentum until the end of the game. For the Golden State Warriors, their leading scorer would be their goated point guard, Stephen Curry, who finished with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists in 27 minutes as he shot 9 for 18 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and he went 1 for 2 with his free throw attempts. For the Utah Jazz, their elite center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 11 points and 14 rebounds in 24 minutes, shooting 4 for 6 from the field and 3 for 4 from the line. And the Jazz leading scorer would be their elite shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, who finished with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 27 minutes, shooting 9 for 18 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are 12-4, which is the second best record in the West, tied with the Clippers, half a game behind the Lakers. And with this loss, the Golden State Warriors are currently sitting at 8-8, which is tied with the Mavericks and the Spurs for the 8th best record, sitting in the very middle of the West. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago Bulls host the Los Angeles Lakers, and the defending champs were able to beat the Bulls 101-90 after outscoring the Bulls by 12 in the first quarter and then 18 in the second to combine for 30 points for the half. For the Chicago Bulls in this outing, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard, Zach LaVine. He finished with 21 points and 10 rebounds, as well as 7 turnovers in 36 minutes, shooting 9 for 23 from the field. For the Los Angeles Lakers, their elite power forward Anthony Davis would lead the team in scoring as he had 37 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a couple of steals in 28 minutes, shooting 14 for 21 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the free throw line. And then for the Lakers, their go-to small forward LeBron James would finish with 17 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 turnovers in 29 minutes, shooting 6 for 16 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, and 5 for 8 from the free throw line. With this win, the Los Angeles Lakers are 13-4, and they are half a game above the Jazz and Clippers for the best record in the West and the best record in the NBA, for that matter. And then with this loss, the Chicago Bulls are now 7-9, sitting with the Orlando Magic for the 9th best, or I guess tied for the 6th worst record in the East. They're the first team sitting right outside the playoff picture right now, even though we're a month into the season. And then jumping out to Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks hosted their in-state rivals, the Houston Rockets, and in this one, the Rockets were able to beat the Mavericks 133-108 after just kind of dominating every single quarter, except for them tying in the second. In this matchup for the Dallas Mavericks, their leading scorer would be their elite point guard, Luka Doncic, who finished with 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 12 from the free throw line in this matchup. And then for the Houston Rockets, their starting center, DeMarcus Cousins, would finish with 28 points, 17 rebounds and 5 assists in 30 minutes, shooting 9 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the line. Their starting shooting guard, Eric Gordon, would lead the team in scoring as he had 33 points in 30 minutes, shooting 10 for 17 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the free throw line. And then for the Rockets, their elite point guard, John Wall, would finish with 7 points and 8 assists in 21 minutes, shooting 3 for 9 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. With this win, the Houston Rockets are currently sitting at 6-9, which is the 12th best record or the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. And with this loss, the Mavericks are tied with the Warriors and the Spurs for the 8th best record in the West. So, of course, it's all kind of really close, but this is a win that the Mavericks most definitely needed at this point in the season. And then the last game of the night, jump it out to Phoenix. The Denver Nuggets came into town and were able to beat the Suns 120-112 in double overtime after just keeping it very close and then just distancing themselves at the last minute to get a very big, very important win over a very talented team. For the Phoenix Suns, their starting power forward, Jamison Crowder, would finish with 21 points and 7 rebounds in 45 minutes, shooting 6 for 15 from the field and 6 for 13 from 3. And then their elite starting point guard, Chris Paul, would finish with 21 points, 9 rebounds, 13 assists, and a couple of steals in 42 minutes as he shot 9 for 20 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. And then last but not least, for the Denver Nuggets, their elite starting point guard, Jamal Murray, would finish with 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 43 minutes, shooting 10 for 22 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. And then the Denver Nuggets leading scorer would be their elite center, Nikola Jokic, as he finished with 29 points, 22 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as 6 turnovers in 42 minutes. He shot 9 for 21 from the field, didn't attempt a 3, and he shot 11 for 14 from the free throw line. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are currently sitting at 9-7, which is the 5th best record in the West. And with this loss, the Phoenix Suns are now 8-7, which is the 7th best record in the West. But as of right now, these are two very talented teams. And then looking out to today, because it is Sunday basketball, starting with the primetime ones. At 1 o'clock, the Pacers are going to host the Raptors on NBA TV before the wild card game. And then the other game on NBA TV will feature the Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Both teams have winning records, as that looks to be very interesting. At 4 o'clock, going to the non-primetime games, the Clippers are going to host the Thunder at 4 o'clock. The Celtics are going to host the Cavaliers at 7. The Magic are going to host the Hornets at 7. At 8 o'clock, the Spurs are going to host the Wizards. And then at 10 o'clock, the Trailblazers are going to host the Knicks as the Grizzlies-Kings game got postponed. That's what the NBA is currently looking like, keeping it with basketball, but this time jumping to college, going through the ranked opponents because there were a lot of basketball games today because, it is Saturday. Starting from the very top, first-ranked Gonzaga was able to beat unranked Pacific 95-49 after just demolishing them in both halves, outscoring Pacific by 31 in the first half and 15 in the second. Drew Timme would lead the way for Gonzaga, adding 22 points and 7 rebounds. With this win, Gonzaga is 15-0, and they are 6-0 in the WCC. And with this loss, Pacific is now 5-3, as they're now 2-2 in the conference. Second-ranked Baylor went to Oklahoma to face off against Oklahoma State, and they were able to beat them 81-66 after coming back from being down 4 at halftime and outscoring Oklahoma State by 19 to get this win. Jared Butler finished with 22 points and 6 assists. With this win, Baylor is now 14-0. They're, as Gonzaga and Baylor, the two remaining undefeated powerhouses left. And with this win, Baylor's 14-0 and they're 7-0 in the Big 12. And with this loss, Oklahoma State is 9-4 as their Big 12 record drops to 3-4. Third-ranked Villanova hosted unranked Providence and beat them 71-56 after outscoring Providence by 18 in the second half to come back and win. Colin Gillespie will lead the way for Villanova, not Vanilla. He had 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. And with this win, Villanova is now 10-1 on the season. They are 5-0 in the Big East. And with this loss, Providence is 8-7. They are 4-5 in the Big East. 6th-ranked Tennessee hosted 19th-ranked Mizzou, and in this game, Missouri was able to come out on top, beating Tennessee 73-64 after outscoring them in both halves. Xavier Pinson would lead the way for Mizzou as he had 27 points. With this win, Missouri is now 10-2 as their SEC record is now 4-2. With this loss, Tennessee is now 10-3 as their SEC record dropped to 4-3. 8th-ranked Houston went to Philly to face off against Temple. They were able to beat Temple 68-51 after outscoring Temple by 15 and just riding that momentum through the end of the game. Quentin Grimes would lead Houston, to victory, adding 15 points and 9 rebounds. With this win, Houston is 13-1 as their record is now 8-1 in the American Conference. With this loss, Temple is 3-4 as they are now 2-4 in the American Conference. 9th-ranked Kansas went to Norman to face off against the Oklahoma Sooners, and in this one, the unranked Sooners were able to beat 9th-ranked Kansas 75-68 after outscoring Kansas by 6 in the second half behind Davion Harmon's 22 points. With this win, Oklahoma is 9-4 and they are 5-3 in the Big 12. With this loss, Kansas is 10-5 as they are now 4-4 in the Big 12. 10th-ranked Wisconsin hosted 15th-ranked Ohio State, and in this matchup, 15th-ranked Ohio State was able to beat 10th-ranked Wisconsin 74-62 behind E.J. Liddell's 20 points and 7 rebounds. With this win, Ohio State is 12-4. They are 6-4 in the Big Ten. With this loss, Wisconsin is 12-4 as they are 6-3 in the Big Ten. 11th-ranked Creighton hosted 23rd-ranked UConn and were able to pull out an 8-point win after outscoring UConn by 7 in the second half. Denzel Mahoney would add in 20 points, and with this win, Creighton is now 11-4 on the season as their Big East record improves to 7-3. With this loss, UConn as a whole is 7-3 as their Big East record drops to 4-3. 13th-ranked Virginia hosted unranked Georgia Tech, and they were able to pull out a very close win. Winning 64-62 after outscoring Georgia Tech by 6 in the second half and having the game be incredibly close at the very end. Sam Hauser would lead UVA to victory with his 22 points. With this win, UVA is 10-2 as their ACC record is still undefeated. They're still unblemished. They are 6-0. With this loss, Georgia Tech is 7-4 as their record in the ACC is now 3-2. 14th-ranked West Virginia went to Kansas to face off against Kansas State. They were able to win 69-47 after outscoring Kansas State by 14, only holding Kansas State to 17 points in the first half. Miles McBride would be very instrumental, scoring 18 points and adding 5 assists. With this win, West Virginia is 10-4 as they are now 3-3 in the Big 12. With this loss, Kansas State is 5-11 and they are now 1-7 in the Big 12. 16th-ranked Virginia Tech went to Syracuse, and Syracuse was able to pull out a very big win, especially considering they were unranked for this matchup. Alan Griffin would score 15 points and add 10 boards to give Syracuse their 9th win of the season. They are 9-4 and 3-3 in the ACC. With this loss, 16th-ranked Virginia Tech is now 11-3, and they are 5-2 in the ACC. Jumping out to Minnesota, the 17th-ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers hosted the unranked Maryland Terrapins. And in this matchup, Maryland was able to beat Minnesota by 14, outscoring them by 9 in the first half, 5 in the second. Eric Ayala would lead the way for Maryland with his 21 points. With this win, Maryland is 9-7, and they are 3-6 in the Big Ten. With this loss, Minnesota is 11-5, as they are 4-5 in the Big Ten. Continuing with more college basketball, 18th-ranked Alabama hosted unranked Mississippi State and were able to beat Mississippi State 81-73 behind Herbert Jones' 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. With this win, Alabama is 13-3. They are 8-0 in the SEC, and with this loss, Mississippi State is 9-7 as they drop to 4-4 in the SEC. Continuing on, unranked Florida State hosted 20th-ranked Clemson, and in this one, Florida State was able to beat Clemson 80-61 after outscoring Clemson by 18 in the first half. Balsa Koprovica would lead the way for Florida State as he had 13 points and 10 rebounds. With this win, Florida State is 9-2. They are 5-1 in the ACC. With this loss, Clemson is 9-4. They are 3-4 in the ACC. 21st-ranked Oregon hosted their in-state rivals Oregon State, and in this matchup, Oregon State was able to pull off the upset as they were unranked. They were able to beat Oregon 75-64 after outscoring them by like 5 or 6 points in both halves. Orith Ali-Tishe would lead the way for Oregon State with 14 points and 16 rebounds. With this win, Oregon State is now 8-5. They are 4-3 in the Pac-12. With this loss, Oregon is 9-3 and they are 4-2 in the Pac-12. Jumping out to the last game of the night, 24th-ranked UCLA went up to Northern California to face off against Stanford, who was unranked. And in this one, the this with the Stanford Cardinal were able to be they're able to upset 24th ranked UCLA at the buzzer for a 73-72 win behind Oscar da Silva's 26 points and 5 rebounds. With this win, Stanford is 9-5. They are 5-3 in the Pac-12, and with this loss, UCLA is 12-3. They are now 8-1 in the Pac-12. And there were some games that were postponed, but those were the games that were played as nearly every ranked opponent played. And then looking out to today, not much college basketball. The only match that was scheduled for today got postponed, and that was going to be between 4th-ranked Iowa and Nebraska. But with that said, I think with college basketball and the NBA, this will be a good day just to take a nice solid break from it all. Jumping really quickly into hockey, just to show you, just to walk through what's been going on in hockey, because I'm easing, at least with this show, and just like as a sports fan, I'm easing my way into the hockey realm. The Jets are able to get their 4th win of the season, beating the Senators 6-3, scoring 4 of those goals in the 3rd period and a big comeback win. Stastny would come up big for Winnipeg with a goal and 2 assists. The Columbus Blue Jackets are able to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-2 just behind their goalie Merzlikins' stellar performance following the first half when he gave up both the goals. The Bruins were able to get their 3rd win of the season, beating the Philadelphia Flyers 6-1. Just dominating this game from the very beginning. Marchand and Bergeron would both finish with 2 goals and an assist. The Montreal Canadiens were able to beat the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver 5-2, scoring 3 of their goals in the 3rd period. Of course, Price put up another amazing game. He was the top star. Jumping out to St. Louis, the St. Louis Blues hosted the LA Kings as the Blues were able to beat the Kings 4-2. Perron would finish with a goal and an assist. Big win for the Blues, and not the best performance from the Los Angeles Kings. Looking out to what's going on today on prime time at 12:30, the Chicago Blackhawks are going to host the Detroit Red Wings on NBC. And then there are going to be a couple games on ESPN Plus. First off, the New York Rangers host the Pittsburgh Penguins at 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus, and the Winnipeg Jets are going to host the Edmonton Oilers at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Then last but not least, taking you through soccer, because there's a good amount of soccer that went on today that went on yesterday, because yesterday was Saturday. Just looking through each matchup one by one. I'm gonna start with the English FA Cup because there was no Premier League being played yesterday, because that's where they are. They're in the middle of their domestic cup season. Arsenal lost to Southampton as they lost on an own goal in the 24th minute, so they don't advance to the 5th round. Manchester City was pushed to the edge as through the first 80 minutes of the game, Cheltenham Town were leading them 1-0. But then Man City would score 3 goals, starting with their 81st minute by Phil Foden to advance them to the next round. A very big win for Manchester City. And then looking out to Italian Serie A, you see a good amount that happened at the very top. Starting with the top team, AC Milan faced off against Atalanta, and in that matchup, Atalanta was able to win 3-0, scoring 2 of their 3 goals in the second half against a very amazing AC Milan side. With this loss, they're still sitting at the top because Inter Milan, with AC Milan's loss, they had a chance to at least make a run for the top because of their goal differential. If they had at least scored 1 goal, they would have taken over. But alas, this game ended in a 0-0 draw. And with this draw, Inter Milan is currently sitting 2 points behind AC Milan. So if AC Milan loses and Inter wins, Inter could most definitely take over AC Milan just on points alone. That's how close they are. So that's what Serie A is looking like at the current moment. Not the best performance from the 2 top teams in the Serie A, who uncoincidentally happen to be the Milan teams. Jumping out into La Liga, Real Madrid was able to beat Alaves 4-1 as they were able to score 3 goals in the first half. Their second coming from their elite French striker, Karim Benzema. The second coming from their second coming from Benzema. Their third coming from their elite Belgian forward, Eden Hazard, in the 46th minute. And then the 4th goal will come in the second half for Karim Benzema's second. with this win. Looking out into La Liga, Real Madrid is sitting right behind Atletico Madrid. They play 2 games more, but they are 4 points behind them in the table. So this is a pretty good place to see yourself sitting, and they are currently sitting 4 points ahead of Sevilla right now. As of right now, they're out of reach of Atletico Madrid, but they are holding on to that runner-up spot pretty tight, and it doesn't seem as though they're going to let go. And then last but not least, looking forward to today's matchup. Starting with the English FA Cup, Chelsea's going to host Luton Town at 7 a.m. Brentford's going to host Leicester City at 9:30. Manchester United's going to host Liverpool, a rematch of the Premier League matchup from last weekend. That was pretty disappointing, but that's going to take place at noon. In the German Bundesliga, the reigning German champs, Bayern Munich, are going to face off against Schalke. Schalke looking like one of the worst teams in the league, and of course, Bayern looking like the best. Bayern's currently sitting 4 points ahead of second place Leipzig with a game in hand, and they're going to face off against the worst team in the Bundesliga. So with a game in hand and a game against the worst team in the Bundesliga, even though it's at Schalke, Bayern Munich is looking very comfortable right now. And then jumping out to Serie A, Juventus is going to face off against Bologna at 6:30 a.m. As Cristiano Ronaldo looks to lead that side to at least with this win to jump very comfortably, or to at least to jump into AS Roma territory or Atalanta territory for that 4th spot in the Serie A. And that's a big game from that. In La Liga, Elche is going to host Barcelona at 10:15 a.m. as Barcelona looks to make a run at the top. They're sitting 4th in the table as they are 10 points behind Atletico Madrid with 1 more game played. And then speaking of Atletico Madrid, they're going to host Valencia at 3 o'clock as that looks to be a very interesting exhibition. And with that said, that's everything that you got going for you for today. Today is Sunday, January 24th, 2021 out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and of course, I'll get back to you tomorrow on Monday. I'm following today's developments, and of course, following this video, I'm going to do 2 individual profiles because 2 of my elite players, my elite athletes have turned, it's their birthday today. First, the second baseman for the Kansas City Royals, Whit Merrifield, is turning 32 today. I'm going to do my profile on him, on how he's one of the best hitters in baseball today. And then also the starting striker for Atletico Madrid, who's going to play tomorrow, Luis Suarez, he's turning 34, so that looks to be a very big day for them. And of course, looking out to last night, it was a big matchup in UFC 257 as Conor McGregor, the reigning dual belt holder in featherweight and lightweight divisions, lost to Dustin Poirier one of the top contenders straight out the bayou. So that was a very big fight. And then the fight before them was very interesting too, as it was a very interesting debut. But with everything swirling around, that's what's going on in the sports world. And of course, I'll keep you guys more informed tomorrow after everything fills out today. I want to thank you guys once again for listening to my 28-minute piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch up with you with the profiles following this.